Hi Sharks, my name's Woody Sears and I'm a travel fanatic from Santa Barbara, California. Today, I'm here seeking $1 million in exchange for 5% equity in my company,
Ooh,
Autio.
Wow.
When my family and I take road trips, we find ourselves asking a lot of questions about the places around us. We like to know how a small town came to be, what people do there for a living, and the names of the mountains and places we drive by. Wouldn't it be great if we had a personal tour guide who could share these stories? Introducing Autio. Autio is a mobile audio entertainment app for travel that tells stories about the places, landmarks, and cities that we drive by. It uses geolocation technology to trigger these stories by your location automatically. Simply press play and stories begin based on where you are. Stories like these.
Local residents passed an ordinance prohibiting the horseless carriage, which was startling and upsetting their horses.
It was a stop on the Underground Railroad, as many homes here and in nearby Springdale were as well.
Violent eruptions caused the mouth of the volcano to collapse, forming a nearly symmetrical 4,000-foot deep caldera.
We have over 9,000 stories spanning the U.S., each of which is told by professional narrators. We have famous voices like Kevin Costner, Phil Jackson, and John Lithgow. Autio gives us a chance to be entertained while at the same time taking a break from screens and being more engaged with our surroundings and each other. So Sharks, who wants to hit the road with Autio and help tell our next story?
Very cool.
They all were like, okay, well, let's talk about your revenue. How did you get where you are? What's the plan? I mean, for basically a $20 million valuation. I want to make sure I have enough time for kind of background, but he did say they got about $700,000 in sales. He's kind of piggybacking on his prior company, which was iLearn. He sold for millions of dollars, huge like multinational company based on sort of this AI geographic location. And so it's interesting. He has a lot of horsepower and a big connection with AAA. They're planning to roll it out, big podcast and
cool
learning type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those kind of applications where good idea, but unless you have the connections and the capital to pull off something where you're getting Kevin Costner and
Right.
Phil Jackson to narrate for, I mean, that takes some knowing. You know, he's clearly in the industry.
He's in the industry, been doing it for a long time, and that was something I wanted to highlight. Is I didn't see anything specifically patentable. And there may be something there. He started talking about how you can save an audio, and then based on how you're, where you're actually at on the GPS, it will start playing, and it actually spaces it out like in cities, so that's not like every second it's got a story. It'll kind of, you can play it out. There could be some technology there, some IP that didn't come up during the pitch, but I wanted to emphasize that, hey, look, sometimes it just takes, as you said, knowing who and just having been in the industry, knowing all the connections to get that type of, product off the ground.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I were to start like a application like this, it would go nowhere because I know no one, right? Who can narrate and do all that kind of stuff. But it's a cool application or a cool product, and they do have the trademark registration for audio, right? For mobile apps. So that's cool. The only thing I would say is that if they wanted to expand their IP rights, outside of the mobile application itself, they should probably look at software as a service, because there's probably some technology on the service side that maybe they're licensing to third parties.
Yeah,
but that would be something to consider as well. But overall, I mean, the registration looks good.
Cool. And let's say they do want to roll that out, next year. They hear your critique on the Bold Bite show. Would that be a brand new filing if they were going to try to add that extra cost?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think they have a wordmark app registration. They registered in 2022. So they have a wordmark registration for audio in class 9. I would say if they were interested in investing in a second application to further expand their IP footprint, you would do like a class 42 software as a service application for a design mark, which is their logo.
Got it.
That's what I would do. That's what I would recommend.
Was there any pushback, do you think, on kind of that sounds like the word audio?
Yes, there was. So they got a big office action rejection called likelihood or a merely descriptiveness issue. So the USPTO said, hey, it sounds like audio, and what you're doing is related to audio, and we're rejecting it.
Yep.
And I actually was just looking at the applicant's office action response, actually very well argued and articulated.
Cool.
And they were able to overcome the merely descriptiveness issue. So good for their attorney. Great job.
Yeah. Yeah. See, did they, and it was a word mark. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or did they use the design mark? Okay.
Yep. And in this particular situation, that would have been my largest concern too, is that, hey, is the USPTO going to ding us for being merely descriptive? I probably would have encouraged the client to file a design mark, a logo initially in that class. And if we were successful, file a second application as a word mark in class 42, citing the registration in class 9. That's probably the strategy that I would have gone with.
Yep. And just to round out, we had a brief kind of IP 101 kickoff that I did. Copyrights would definitely come into play here, especially if you're using, actors, actresses. If it's the recording, the actual audio description of the historical site, that would need to be thoughtful in terms of who's actually.
Yeah, I mean, you'd certainly want a copyright attorney figuring out all the different relationships and copyright intellectual property matters, right? Because you're going to have the right of reproduction, you're going to have right to the initial recording, there's like performance and recordings essentially. And so you would need to have that Loctite.